the mic's on?
Phone's off. My phone's in my car. Actually, I think my phone's in my house.
It's 4 o'clock.
Yeah, so I mean, we can, but that, again, we can take that out too. So you hook that on camera over, so. But yeah, no, it's excellent. I wish the medical piece you got put in there, but we'll figure out how to do that.
Need help?
I'm not good at this. I gotta turn it on airplane mode, right?
Huh?
Airplane mode?
No. So I just. I don't use iPhones, and I don't know.
Well, I didn't either.
This is Microsoft. This
I'm a
is
bad
Microsoft.
person.
We're ready, Mayor?
You ready?
Yep.
All right, guys, we're gonna start our town council meeting. Welcome to Beach Mountain Town Council's meeting today. If we could ask everyone to please mute their cell phones. I need a motion to call the meeting to order.
Motion.
Second. Very good. The adoption of the agenda, I need a motion to accept it.
Motion?
Second.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Alan, invocation, please.
Yes. Please bow your heads. Thank you, Father, for this day and the much-needed rain that we've been getting. We pray that you will continue to be with all our residents, our mayor, vice mayor, town council, our town manager, and all the town employees. We also continue to lift up our world leaders that they may seek peace in your name. May God bless Beach Mountain and God bless the USA. Amen.
Thank you. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance. So we all have new laptops, so this may be interesting, trying to, some of us, like Art, aren't very computer savvy. You may have trouble today, so,
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
yes, sir. Thank you. Next is McAdams, Senior Landscape Architect, Teresa Buckwalter, if you'll come up. She's going to explain the Buckeye Recreation Plan. This plan is to help serve the Recreation Department in best utilizing the space at Buckeye and how to expand for continual growth for the town.
Thank you,
Welcome
Mr.
to
Mayor.
Beach Mountain.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. I'm Teresa Buckwalter, as it says. I'm a landscape architect with McAdams. And McAdams is a full-service civil site design firm. We do landscape architecture and civil engineering. Based in Raleigh, but we have offices in Winston-Salem and Charlotte. And I live in Boone. And we're also teaming with Stitch, which is an architecture firm, as part of our contract with working with Sean. And this is usually I come to show something, right? But this is coming at the very beginning, and I think it's a great idea just to let you all know what we're going to be up to. And we've started this process, and that was going to Buckeye Recreation Center and really kind of taking a look at both the interior with our sub-consultant Stitch, and as well as the exterior. So kind of looking at the campus as well as looking at the interior and thinking about kind of developing a plan for what happens in the midterm, the short term, the long term for the facility. And so part of that is to gain insight from the community. And so one of those things that we're doing is we're launching an online survey. And so that has already gone live. And we've already done our kind of looking through the full building, looking on the campus, taking dimensions and taking inventory of the whole thing. So we're at the very beginning, kind of listening sessions, online survey, and the existing conditions. And then what we'll do is we'll take all that information, and in the coming weeks, we'll be developing a floor, an interior and an exterior concept plan. And then we'll be back actually to show that to this council. And so we'll share all of that information with you. And part of this contract is to have a planning level cost estimate, we call it. So this is not, a bidder has looked at this and given us exact costs, but this is really to help plan for the future, right? And so if there are things that really rise to the top as priority, and maybe there's some interest in seeking grants for those things, and those changes, then that planning level cost estimate really helps you all determine, how much do we need to request in grant applications and that kind of thing. So, so that kind of covers the next week. We'll be having our first kind of focus group, of sort of a smaller focus group, and then the survey is out there that kind of casts a very wide net about asking both residents as well as visitors about, what kinds of things do you currently do at the Buckeye Recreation Center? What kinds of things that might you like to do that there's not an opportunity to do right now? And so it'll gather a lot more than that, but that's really one of the focuses of the ask on the public survey.
How do we find the online survey?
Sean has got for you.
Because I do have a few things I'm going to leave here at the table, and then we're going to send out through different social media avenues, so we'll get the word out more. We're going to go to local businesses and put these as well, so it's QR code. If people need a hand copy, if you're not computer savvy, yep. We will have those as well, so I got that today.
Thank you.
Well, there's a meeting Tuesday or Wednesday at the rec center, correct?
Yeah, that next
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
22nd.
22nd? And what's that going to consist of?
So we've invited some stakeholders in the community, business owners, our rec board, town manager, to sort of kickstart really this idea and use that rec board to talk about what we want to see, how we want this project to develop.
And what date's that?
June 22nd, July 22nd.
July 22nd?
I'm still on
What
June
time?
too.
1 o'clock.
July 22nd? at 1
And the
o'clock.
intent of those are really kind of small group, focus group, to really gain that initial listening session on our part, so.
And then what's the time frame when you guys bring something back to us?
We want to leave the survey online for a few weeks at least, and so there may be more information coming in that influences our design, but in the next, several weeks, we'll be developing concept plans for interior and exterior, and then come back to you all.
Okay.
We haven't set that date yet, but we're thinking next 3 to 4 weeks. We'll need that time.
3 or 4 weeks?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
very good.
How many of you plan on attending the meeting next week, Marissa?
I'm gonna try to. I have a trip to Nashville. I'm gonna try to make it back.
I won't be able to.
Anyone else have any questions?
What's the cost?
The cost?
The cost of doing what you want to do? How much is it gonna cost annually? Do we have an estimate of what?
For the improvements?
We haven't even set out an outline yet. We don't know what the cost is gonna be. We don't know what we want.
Well, I think we need a cost at some point.
Yeah, at some point we will.
That's definitely part of the work that we're, kind of need to know what we're doing first, and then,
Is that a little bit concern down
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
This-
with a presentation, it's usually not the time for public comments. You will have a public comment session coming, but unlike a homeowners association, town council is generally presentations to
Yes,
the
sir.
council and questions from the council.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for coming. Look forward to the next presentation. Officer Abbott, are you here to serve a warrant, or are you a visitor? Oh. Just want to make sure, because I'll stop if you need to. Very good. Okay, next is public comment. This is a time for the public to address their elected officials on issues not on the agenda. Town council is interested in hearing your concerns. However, speakers should not expect council to take action or any deliberation. I hate saying this, but first up, Francis Edwards, you got 30 seconds.
Thank you. What I'm here to promote is National Night Out. It will be Thursday, August
Hey, guys.
the 6th. It will be in the Village at Beach Mountain Resort. Right now, we got about 14 agencies. And for those who are not aware, National Night Out involves local law enforcement, local first responders, and things like that. So we've got a really good setup right now with crew coming. I kind of took it over because Gary said he didn't want to have to do the PR part, and I said, I'll do it. So it'll be from 5 to 7, so spread the word, please.
Very good.
What's National Night Out? Yeah. National Night Out is, like I said, it's for first responders, law enforcement to get and meet with the community. The normal night is Tuesday, the first Tuesday of the month, but we felt like it would be better to promote it on a Thursday night because the resort is open. It's the Thursday before one of our last concerts, and we felt like we'd have a pretty good crowd show up.
What date is that, Francis?
It's a Thursday,
Do you know the exact date?
6th, the 6th
August
of
6th.
August, yes.
At 5
Expect
o'clock?
your grill.
Depends on, Stanford may want to cook. Very good. When you folks come up, if you'll say your name and also your address so that our clerk can document this, please. Lynn? Thank you.
Good afternoon. Lynn Bernstein, 304 Lake Ledge Road. I wanted to just support the ongoing planning process for the commercial district and with special emphasis on the zoning, and that is so important. I know that the community has various opinions on the commercial district planning process, and I think that people will better understand as we go through the zoning part of this planning process, and that there will be better understanding and a better future for Beach Mountain. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Therese?
I'm here to say something I think everybody agrees with. Beach Mountain is not a zoo, right? It's not a zoo. Okay, the reason I brought this up is we have some friends, longtime friends from New Orleans, who came up and rented a place, as they have many times. They've even owned a place here. And they said, it's like a zoo. We have bears, we have deer, they're all standing there waiting to be fed. Well, you know, it sounds cute, it sounds funny, but it's bad. So I looked, where do you look when you want to see who's the biggest dumbass around? Social media. Also, who has skipped grammar because no one knows it. So I found a couple of comments. Somebody at Cedar Village, please tell them to stop feeding the deer. Here, you can have that. I apologize for the giant font, I don't know why. Someone else says, I saw mama and cubs and young children taking pictures, and I said, stop this, and she says, well, I've only seen them in the zoo. Yeah. Right? Right? Okay. So I looked online, and I found out that the town discourages feeding of wildlife. The state discourages feeding of wildlife. The fire department, on their website, don't feed the wildlife, don't interact with the wildlife, bearwise.org. Everybody's against it, but nobody seems to know this. Now, how can this be that it's everywhere, but nobody seems aware of it? So I also looked up, can short-term rentals require or give rules for people in North Carolina? Yes, they can. Also, municipalities can pass laws that you can't feed the wildlife. However, this seems like almost an unenforceable law. So my suggestion is, could something be done to these short-term rental owners to stop being so nice to them? Tell them they have to cooperate. They have to stop this. if this continues, people, children going to get pictures with bears, I mean, everybody's seen it or seen evidence of it. If this continues, someone is gonna be hurt. And then, let's be a little nasty. We don't have to be quite so nice. Tell these people, you cannot interact with bears. And then, maybe no one will get hurt. Thank you. Oh, and I didn't say who I am. I'm Therese
So Therese gets frequent emails from somebody that's hacking my, well, I don't think they're hacking my account. I thought you were gonna talk about the gift cards that I requested you to get.
I get those emails all the time, from people asking what I should go buy a card.
Yeah, so just in all seriousness, if you guys get an email from a council member or a town staff member and it requests for, and it has happened and it's been effective a time or two, but if you folks get an email asking for a gift card or asking for something, delete the email, please. Okay.
Is there another person?
Yeah.
Is there another person?
Is there?
Me?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I came in late.
that's okay. Well,
I could not put my opening down.
sure.
Hi, I'm Eva Jones, and I have been here since '74. I live on 100 Speedway Road, which is about 3 blocks down, and I have come in. You want to speak to? I have two things, one of which you've already touched upon, which is the scam that is going around where some of the board members are asking for contributions and things like that on the internet. Please delete them, do not go into that. The second thing I wanted to ask, and I am even willing to help fund this or research it. I have several friends that live in New Zealand and Australia. They have iridescent markings on the roads, so that at night it actually shows up. Okay? Last night I drove up at 9:30 and I literally had to stay on the yellow markers because I couldn't see to the right or to the left. I mean, it was so foggy coming up Beach Mountain. I would be more than happy to get some of my friends in New Zealand and in Australia to give me the paint or whatever. I know it's the North Carolina road situation, but we need something because I could not see the white markings, I could not see the double lines, and it's dangerous. And I had, as I was coming up my last roundabout, I had a car coming actually towards me. And I inched over to the right, and only about maybe 10 feet away from me did they swerve back. So we do have a problem on our road, especially coming up, and in Beach Mountain on the paved roads. So I am saying, if you want me to help out and find out how we can get that kind of paint, or whether the road is going to be repaired by the state and have new markings so that we can see them. But the summer crowds are a lot more than the winter crowds. Okay, and especially the fog is more dense, I think, in the summer than it is in the winter. So I'm asking for somebody to help me with it, or me help you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Urs?
Urs Steiger, 124 Raven Road. It's unfortunate that council did not take Councilmember Stanford's suggestion and have a public meeting and a public comment period on the sanitation fund and trash situation. I went back and looked at the 2018 sanitation fund budget and compared it to the 2026-27 budget. In 2018, the total budget for sanitation was $398,000. The current budget year is going to be $1.227 million. So I got to thinking about what in the world are we doing with our sanitation? The council's position was we're going to close the recycle center because we can't allow citizens to pay an extra $5 a month for the, quote, 105 people who want to use the recycle center. There's actually a different way to look at it. Those of us who have been using the recycle center have not benefited from twice-a-week garbage pickup, new garbage trucks, all the additional employees that apparently have been hired by the sanitation department. Remember, the recycle center is open 42.5 hours a week, yet has 4 employees. Charlie used to do that job by himself. Is it a matter of priority? Is it a matter of mismanagement? What exactly is going on with this recycle and with the sanitation fund? I think if we had had that meeting and that hearing, perhaps the public could have had some information about where we are and why we're where we are. And by the way, why I have built my garbage bin.
Mark Bush?
I'm glad the officer left because I was at the new convenience store buying some beverages and he was in there and he might have seen what I was buying. So, my name's Mark Bush, 302 Charter Hills Road. A little history. My family bought 304 Charter Hills Road in 1972. I first skied here in 1969. And 304 Charter Hills Road was one of the first Carolina Caribbean chalets, the model that you could select from. So a bit of history. So we've seen the personnel changes, we've seen the mountain changes, we've seen the club changes, town changes, ski resort changes, and public infrastructure, roads, trash management, and sanitation and everything, going back a long, long time. And I'm not here to complain or criticize, I'm trying to understand moving forward some of the tenor that we see the town, the direction the town might be heading towards. It's hard. We're trying to determine what we're going to do with our property. We're going to give it to the kids, we're going to sell it, and what are we going to do? So we're very interested in the future. But 3 current things bother me. One, just the rather arbitrary decision to close the convenience center. We've used it religiously since the first one was done and then the new one. We've always elected to handle our own trash. We didn't like the way the garbage bins looked, and we thought it was a much more efficient way. Understand budgeting and everything else that goes with that, but we're a big proponent of looking at that issue. Recently, we've gotten involved, and by the way, Daniel Davis has been very helpful in helping us understand the garbage situation. Recently, we've been involved in middle of construction right now in a new culvert because we acquired an adjacent lot. We have 2 culverts we have to deal with, and they worked good for a while, but since the town paved Charter Hills Road and put, I guess the technical term is swale to handle the water, I would submit and perceive that when the town did that, the asphalt contractor didn't do a very good job because they pretty much closed up our culvert. And we had to deal with it for the last number of years. We were more than willing, we're probably spending about $5,000 to put 2 new culverts in, our 2 drives. And, but dealing with the town and the understanding, adding to that cost is having to put the asphalt apron around the culverts and up into our driveway, which we probably would not have done, but the town requires it. So we're okay with doing that. And more recently, and I think the last 4th of July week, we're aware, he's a friend. He lives at 509 Charter Hills Road. There was an accident, a speeding driver, young driver, missed the curve, adjusted and went into the home at 509 Charter Hills Road. I think y'all might know about this situation. And Mr. Dodson is very upset about the reaction he sort of got from the town looking for some assistance. So those are some current issues. Mr. Pudney has been very helpful to Janice and I. We were close to investing in 5 acres at the bottom of Palm Creek Lane and preserving it so that it would never be developed. Mr. Pudney helped us understand the water and sewer that runs now that has to be replaced now. In terms of, we were trying to get a handle on the liability if we own that property and never did anything with it, which we don't plan to do. But we decided not to move forward with that, but thank you for your help in that. So I just wanted to let the town council know that we're very interested in some of these future decisions and what the tenor of the mountain is. Thank you.
Thank you. So for when folks come in, after the sheet's been taken out, is there, what's,
It's council discretion if you wish to.
hold on one second.
If you wish to
I wanna
entertain
try to
it,
follow, we've already made an exception, and I just wanna make sure we follow the rules moving forward. We'll let you speak.
Yes, sir. Generally, 1 hour is allotted for public comment as a total. Once the sheet is taken up, it's within council's discretion if you wish to receive additional comments or if the council believes it needs to proceed to its business.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
If you'll, state your name and address, please.
Lourdes Suarez, 105 Lady Sliver Lane,
Can you spell your last name, please?
Suarez.
Thank you.
We've also used the dump since we built the house almost 22 years ago. And I just started doing all the research today, calling everybody. One of my concerns is that the recycling's only opened, the planned recycling is only open twice a month. I've been recycling since the late 80s, and I don't think that's gonna be enough for our household. And I'm hoping that you might consider adding additional, maybe once a week, instead of just every other week. It's not gonna happen. I mean, we get so many packages from Amazon, which has been a godsend since we built the house where we had to run down the mountain for everything. We're not gonna, I don't know where I'm gonna keep all those cartons and the recycling. Sometimes we have 6 kids, married with grandchildren, we're just starting to have the grandchildren. Like, it's a lot of garbage that we have in our home.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next is the consent agenda. I need a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Motion.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. New business. This is a land, item 8.1. Need a motion for the land parcel donation.
Motion.
Second.
Chief, will you explain what this is, please?
Yeah, this is a private property owner that no longer wishes to pay taxes on the property and would like to donate it to the town. They provided all the documentation that's required as well as an appraisal. Typically, the town decides on a case-by-case basis if it's something we want, something we can use. This happens to be on a road. It has access. It's something that town can either turn around and sell or use for future use. It has no restrictions. So assuming the council wishes to accept it, we'll accept the donation. Legal will get with us and we'll do the deed.
Is there any back taxes owed on this property?
There won't be.
No, but
I don't know.
You know the value of the property?
It was $12,000.
Yeah, I thought it was 12. I thought I remember seeing that somewhere.
it's in your computer.
It is. I see lots of numbers daily. You guys have any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Unfortunately, this is kind of a short meeting. Chief, you're up.
Well, you haven't heard from me yet.
Yeah.
So if you could take a look at your budget and scroll down to page 62, which is the financial report. I just want to go over that with you briefly. We are at 99.99% of the budget year. This is unaudited, and so I want to caution you on that. So we have a new auditor in place. They're already here on site doing the audit. When they have an audited number, then this will be exact. But what I'd like to show you is we're roughly at 100% of the budget. Our revenue was at 91%, and our expenditures were at 91%. So we had less revenue than was anticipated in the budget, but expenses were brought in at the same time.
Where's the reduction in revenue coming from?
Well, primarily it was in other income, sales tax, investments, things like that. Our property tax is pretty much set, but we missed the mark by about 9%. The good news is we were able to manage the budget to live within our means. If you go to the utility fund, again at 100%, we sold less water, which is a good thing. We ended the year at 89% on revenues. That is attributable to mostly conservation. If you recall, I'm sure you do, the council put together conservation rates where we have a sliding scale on how much water you use. You pay more per gallon the higher your usage. And I believe we're seeing it reflected in the number of gallons that we're selling. The occupancy is up in everything that we measure, all the metrics we measure in the town for occupancy. That's the mayor, that's not me. Or Stanford, or Riley, or Allen. Here's Riley. So all the metrics say we've had full occupancy, yet we're selling less water, and it's attributable to conservation, and I think a lot of the millions of dollars you've put into the ground replacing leaky pipes, we've made progress. So we'll have to adjust as we go forward with our revenues so that our utility remains solid. The good news is the expenditures were at 84%.
I noticed that in the report, we were down 1 million gallons a month, and, which is basically 7 or 8%.
Well, and that's by design. We still haven't solved our leaky pipe problem, but we've had now 5 years of millions of dollars and tens of thousands of feet of pipe being put in the ground.
Right.
If you live on some of those roads this summer, you're suffering the consequences of those pipes being put in. Clubhouse Road is a good example. If you've been out to the club, you know what we had to do. What I think you're seeing in the financial report is an indication on the success of the programs we've had. Not to shortchange the conservation piece. I think the rate structure that you put in place has certainly reduced how much water people are using. So we're making progress, and we're able to manage the budgets so that we live within our means. On the sanitation fund, again, we're at 92% of our expenditures, and you'll see that we've reduced the deficit. In May, if you recall, I came to you and we talked about the convenience center and trying to save about $200,000. In May, we were $77,000 in the red on the sanitation fund, and we ended the year at $50,000 in the red. We took action in May and June to reduce those costs. We reduced personnel costs, and so by the time we get to October 1st, that $50,000 should be reduced by another 50%. And then the last page, 65 of your budget, if you look at the top for the general fund, we started the year with a fund balance of $8,806,000, and we ended with $9,481,000. It was an increase of about $674,000 in our fund balance, and that's good. We lived within our means. You did a budget amendment, and we did a budget adjustment to bring everything into alignment. Again, I want to caution everybody, the addition in fund balance will be needed at some point in the future. When I give you my FEMA report, it'll be more clear, but we're millions of dollars out on the Helene recovery, and we're struggling with FEMA. So we don't know what we don't know, and I've said this many times, so be careful when you see a surplus in the fund balance that currently it's my recommendation that it's not available to be spent. We need to save it for a rainy day, if you will, and that rainy day is FEMA. And someday in the future, after this recovery and the reconciliation occurs, there's a good chance that the town will have to make up the difference. That's probably the best case scenario. Worst case scenario is some auditor in FEMA takes a look at the process 5 years from now and says, you know what, we paid you too much, and you have to return, dollars to the town. So if there's no questions on the financial report, I think it shows a healthy budget. As we ended the year, we put money in fund balance. We just need to be careful about going forward and spending money. So I'll move on to my FEMA report. None of it's good. The Lake Coffee project at $54 million was denied by FEMA, the amendment, and they formally denied it, and we're in the process of deciding whether to appeal that or what steps we should take. Obviously, as I've explained to the group, FEMA, that we cannot accept no. That the town cannot afford a $50 million project. We don't have the financial ability to do that. Even if we could borrow the money, we could not pay it back. So, and the LGC would never allow the town to go into debt to the tune of $50 million. So we cannot accept a no answer. We have to solve the problem. The Haggerty Group, we're working on that. We've brought in some other consultants that worked in Asheville that were successful in a similar type deal with FEMA, and we're trying to move through that process. The North Carolina budget, after 2 years, was finally approved, and we were appropriated up to $4 million for Lake Coffee. However, those funds may not be available. The restrictions that were placed on those funds are such that I don't believe the Lake Coffee project will qualify. But our elected officials did their best, I assume, because they did put up to $4 million grant in the budget. We're working on that. The mayor is discussing that with Representative Dudley Green, who is the one who championed that for us. And right now we don't have a resolution on that, but it was a good faith effort, but it appears once it gets into the regulatory state government that it will not apply. The Charter Hills Road and Buckeye Creek Road slides, the contracts, as I've reported, have been issued. Notice to proceed has been issued. The contractor told us today that he's going to begin mobilization, and Charter Hills Road will be the priority of the two, although some of the work has to be done at the same time. There's some subcontractors that are doing the foundation work, and that they'll be doing it both sites at the same time. So hopefully we can get that Charter Hills Road slide repaired and get that road open. Moving on to the water plant, the water supply in the Buckeye Dam still being denied by FEMA. There is some repairs that need to be made that are in question whether FEMA will fund those. Unending requests for information by FEMA with no end in sight. We're spinning our wheels. The town is spending tens of thousands of dollars on engineering firms to answer FEMA's never-ending circle of questions. And so as of today, we took a different tact, and we'll approach that from another direction. FEMA, after I complained, is verbally, of course they put nothing in writing, verbally agreed to pay for some of the additional engineering costs to answer some of their questions. Unfortunately, the check isn't even in the mail because we haven't even got an obligation, let alone some funding for that. So we're going to have to make a decision on, do we continue funding this process, or do we go in a different direction? Buckeye Lake. So this has sort of hit the news. I'm getting ahead of myself, but Senator Budd in Washington, D.C. Made a public statement that he would no longer support any funding that President Trump requested until Western North Carolina was properly funded for Helene damage recovery. And he specifically and singularly mentioned the town of Beech Mountain and our water supply issue. So that, immediately, well, within the next morning, I started receiving phone calls from the press saying, where is Beech Mountain? And what's the problem? The problem is this: Buckeye Lake was damaged, as we know, from Helene, and as you know, it was filled with debris, and we lost about 40% of its capacity. And we did a dredging project, and we reclaimed some of that capacity. What hasn't been widely discussed is the fact that the dam was damaged. The emergency spillway that releases excess water was damaged. More importantly, the main drain that the diver got stuck in years ago is inoperable due to the storm, and we have no ability to release stormwater under emergency conditions from the dam. And the mayor's been quite clear with our elected officials that it's not a matter of if, it's when. There's going to be a catastrophic event, and we need some assistance now. And then compounded by the fact that the intake for the water plant was damaged, as we've reported, and we're unable to take water out of the reservoir and treat it and put it into the system as we were before the storm. And as I reported to you, what we've done is we put in place an emergency pump that floats on the lake, goes up and down with the lake level, and it pumps water into the water plant until repairs can be made. The crux of the problem is the lake has to be drained for the repairs to be made. And the repairs, the engineers say, will take 9 to 12 months. I've been here long enough to understand that if someone tells me 9 to 12 months, it's 2 to 3 years. Obviously we can't drain Buckeye Lake for 9 to 12 months. The town would have no water. And so the project that we had proposed to FEMA was to improve Lake Coffee, complete the water line to the water plant, switch the water plant to Lake Coffee long enough to do the repairs at Buckeye, and then return to Lake Buckeye because it is the better of the two reservoirs. And FEMA is the one that has said they've denied that now formally. So we have a problem. It's now pretty much out in the public, and we're working that every day, and we've got a number of possible solutions. But there's no light at the end of the tunnel, and there's no end in sight. So there's a couple of things that are going on. Number one, we were told by the state, if you recall, we had a HMGP hazard mitigation grant that funded Lake Coffee. It was in 2 phases, if you recall. They paid for phase 1, which was engineering and permitting, and then phase 2 was supposed to pay for construction. As soon as phase 1 was complete and we provided all the deliverables and they paid the bill, they canceled phase 2 with really no explanation. Well, I think I told you, the explanation made no sense. They said, you didn't tell us there was a dam involved. Well, all of the design that they paid for and all of the submittals had nothing but a dam in it. So it didn't make sense. But they canceled that, and so we had no funding for phase 2. And the state said, we want you to apply for a BRIC, B-R-I-C, Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities grant, which we had done 5 years ago and been denied. They said, do it again, and this time we'll look at it a little bit closer. We submitted that yesterday, was the deadline at 5 p.m., and that has been submitted, and we are tracking that BRIC grant. That has a low probability of success, but we spent quite a bit of time and effort with engineers and consultants and our staff putting that BRIC grant together. And that is for a $20 million grant. They have a cap. So then that brings me to the HMGP, the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program. This was the one that was canceled, phase 2, with no explanation. That actually has some state control, some state input, and we're appealing to the state to revisit that denial. And we have a resident, I'm going to say his name because he's been fantastic. Resident Bob Beeson has offered his services to assist. He seems to have some connections to the governor's office, to the point that I have a meeting, the mayor has a meeting with the governor's staff Thursday to discuss this HMGP grant. The good news would be if we can get the governor and his bureaucracy to reinstitute the HMGP grant Phase 2, we would be able to begin construction on Lake Coffee as soon as they would approve that. So we're working that angle as well. We've also, well, let me go back to where we stand financially. So the Buckeye and the Lake Coffee thing is just in a big mess, and we really don't know where we're going, whether it's Senator Budd's direction, whether it's Governor Stein's direction, whether it's the state legislature. Representative Fox has been involved. The mayor has gotten everybody that asked him for money involved. And to some extent, they've all been very well received of our issue. We got varying levels of support. So we're going to work that as much as we can. We have 2 meetings this week. We've got some meetings next week as we move forward, and we're looking at that. Senator Budd's office sent me a message last night. He has got a meeting with the head of FEMA, which is an acting director right now, tomorrow, and Beech Mountain is on his list. And they asked for some briefing materials, and I sent them that. So I need you all to know that we're working as hard as we can, as many hours as we can, as every angle we can to find the funding, because no cannot be an answer. We don't have a solution. The town cannot afford it, and this is going to have to be a solution that's federal, state, grants, a combination of things. That's what we're going to do. So that brings me to where we stand financially to date with FEMA. FEMA has reimbursed us $13,710,643.50 according to Steve. We've spent $14,674,192.91, and that makes a difference of $963,549. That's what we're carrying, the town is carrying with the FEMA reimbursement. It's better than it was, but certainly that's almost $1 million in a budget that can't afford $1 million. So therefore, that $674,000 that I just reported to you that we ended the budget with, if we get nothing more from FEMA, we're $300-some thousand short of using our, we'd have to dip into fund balance even deeper than that. So you need to be aware of that, and we need to make sure that we're spending our dollars wisely through the general fund, and we're also accounting for our FEMA dollars as strictly as we can. So that brings me to road repairs, because I get a lot of calls, and rightly so, that the roads are bumpy and in poor repairs, and that is true. The repaving, we have a number of paving projects that FEMA is supposed to be responsible for, and they have not agreed, nor have they obligated the funds. If we go out and pave those ourselves, those come off the table, and they're in the millions of dollars. Again, we can't afford to do that. So what we're doing out of town funds is we're patching, and we're fixing the shoulders, and we're doing the best we can with what we've got until FEMA basically says you're not getting any money. So that's why road repairs are behind. The Cherry Gap site is complete. They're finishing up with some gravel and some seeding. We haven't been paid 100% for that by FEMA, but that work has been done. Our sewer plant repairs are going through the design and permit. The damages were such that we had to engage an engineer. We've got to get the plans approved by the state, and we've got to get permits to make those repairs. So we still are under emergency repairs, and I think we're 638 days post-Helene. The Pinnacle Ridge well, we've talked about all the problems that happened there. We've got our state permits in hand to drill a new well adjacent to it. The well driller is on site and will begin drilling soon. We don't know what the results will be, and when that well is complete and we do a drawdown test, we'll know what water, if any, we can use and put into the system. And then last on the FEMA projects, the Lake Coffee draining and geotech, I had to cancel that. We were unable to keep the water out of the lake. We almost lost a excavator that was in Lake Coffee when we got that rainstorm on, I think, Saturday. And so I decided that the cost now exceeded the benefit of the data. So we've removed the excavator and closed the drain, and the lake will refill. Let's see, we have Lake Coffee water main easements. You heard about from a property owner last meeting. We're having some difficulty with the club and private property owners to get those easements. We're working that and trying to make that happen. We've applied for an Appalachian Regional Commission grant, ARC, for $1.4 million for the commercial district. That's a match, and it's for utility infrastructure. It's due the end of the month, and we should have feedback in 6 months. I think it's important to note that when we discussed that commercial district, the commitment was we would not use town taxes to fund that as we move forward. We would use grants. We would use, well, the consultant wanted us to do a bond. This is the first of many grants that have been proposed and put in place, and this is to, if it's granted, use for infrastructure. So on this one, Mayor, I'll ask you for a motion, but CDBG-DR grant, that's a community development block grant. We're working on the application, Lake Coffee. It's due September 8th. For that to go through the process, we have to hold a public hearing before the application goes in to discuss the project and receive input. Emily's got the details for how that public hearing needs to be structured, but if you agree, I'd like you to call today for a public hearing on the 11th, which is your next council meeting, and then we'll properly notice it. There's special notice for it, and we'll have the a portion of that meeting set aside to do the public comments. And this is so we can meet the criteria for the CDBG grant. And this is on Lake Coffee, and this is a grant to hopefully get some money to build that.
You want to do that now?
If you'd like.
So do you guys, I need a motion to accept the public hearing for the community block grant on August the 11th.
Motion.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
All right, thank you. We also sent out a letter, recovery update to all the residents. It's in the mail. I don't think they've been received yet. They went out yesterday, yeah. I put a copy on your desk, on your dais tonight, simply to address a lot of the calls that we receive here from the community about, where are we in the recovery process. For those people who may not listen to me ramble on at a council meeting, this was just as an update to try and give people some ideas. They're calling about the trails, they're calling about the roads, and they want to know what the progress is. So we sent that letter out yesterday just as a FYI, and hopefully it'll generate some answers to their questions. We're having difficulty with our paving contractors for some road resurfacing and patching. Public Works is working to secure quotes. Part of the problem we have is the procurement method that we're forced to use to comply with FEMA. And so not only do we have to take the low bid, there's a lengthy process for procurement. So by the time we get everything procured, it should be winter, and then I won't be able to do any paving. Expect to see a draft of the sanitation ordinance for the rollout containers at the August meeting. We're waiting to finalize another container and costs for the equipment to service, so I haven't forgotten about that, and we're moving forward with that. That's pretty much the bad news. July 4th activities went well. The fireworks went well. We had good weather. Farmers market went well. Slip and slide and the kite festival. So I want to thank Parks and Rec. Predominantly, they worked nonstop that weekend in the visitor center. So, and then the hog roast was hosted this year at the resort, and that went well. The Shane Park restrooms are open to the public. They're accessible from the trail. the contractor is using the, what used to be the parking lot at Shane Park for the staging of equipment, but those restrooms have been restored and put back in place. We've got a contractor cleaning up the trails, predominantly Pond Creek, and the bridges that are destroyed on those, that upper section of Pond Creek. But we still have to wait on some sewer repairs where the bridges and the sewer, run together. An early reminder of the 2026 All-American Christmas Parade on December 22nd. My wife says it'll be here before you know it. So I can go home and eat dinner tonight. And council laptops, if you run into problems, Mayor, give us a call. Give us a call and we'll work through those and get whatever you need put together. That's my report.
You want to have any questions? You want to have any questions?
Thank
I
you,
just,
thank you, Bob.
I wanted to bring up when Chief Budney was talking about our water issue, we've been working diligently behind the scenes trying to get the attention of our elected officials. This isn't a Democratic or Republican issue. This is a Beach Mountain issue. And I've reached out to some of my Democratic friends in Raleigh and Bob Beeson being one, is my neighbor. He's got some really good contacts with Governor Stein's office, and Bob was instrumental in getting Governor Stein's office to come up to Beach Mountain on Thursday. So we have a meeting with his task force on Thursday. Should last about an hour and a half. Hopefully something positive will come out of it. And then we're still working behind the scenes with some folks in Washington D.C. that, it's above the folks that we're dealing with here, and it's a slow, tedious process. But it's, as Bob said, no is unacceptable. We just have to keep swinging and swinging until Thor can use his influence and make something happen. So by no means are we giving up, but it has been an uphill battle. We just got to find the right person that can identify that we do have this. Like I said, it's not if, it's when this dam fails. And what are we going to do? And they can't give us a plan either on what's our emergency plan is going to be. And we're raising the flag on this. In Beach Mountain, we need some help. So we were going into a closed session meeting. It should be fairly short. And I need a motion to go into closed session meeting.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay. what the value of it was.
No, they went to Southwest Waterfront.
Oh, was that the first one too?
All right, any motion to come back into our council meeting?
Motion?
Very good. So I guess now's time for public comments.
With no public here.
Yeah. Alan?
Just for people to be patient, especially with all the fast-moving parts that are going on with the council and the town. A lot of convenience center questions still, so everyone's still talking trash, but hopefully we can get out of that. We'll see how it goes.
Mr. Becker?
I had a whole subject I want to talk about tonight, but since we don't have a public here, I'm just going to, a couple positive notes. I want to give a shout out to Matt Stokes of Mile High Landscaping.
Yep.
The guy is tirelessly working on keeping this town beautiful, and he deserves all the recognition we can give him. It was pouring rain out there yesterday, and he was out there cutting lawns and just keep going. He does it by himself, so kudos to Matt Stokes.
I've said, once we hired Mile High,
Yeah.
his work ethics, they showed.
Yeah, definitely.
Rain or shine, he's out there working, and I speak very highly of the performance that he does. Mr. Stanton?
I had the pleasure of waking the mayor up on July 4th at 4 a.m.
3.
Was it 3?
3.
To which I think he had a panic attack, I'm not sure. But that was to get him up so we could get to the hog roast. And I had the great pleasure of cooking the hog this year.
Well, he doesn't get up till 8 or 9.
10.
10, okay. And my phone rings, I don't hear my fire alarm go, I don't hear my pager go off, but when my phone rings, especially at 3 a.m. from Stanford, I went into panic mode. I'm like, all right, we have some type of emergency. And I was out of that bed quick, stepped on the dog, about fell through the glass window.
It was hog roast time.
It's hog roast time, man.
That was a very long day.
That was a great event.
It
It
was.
was good. It
That
really
went
turned out
well.
good. So
I
that's,
made a mistake of going home for 10 minutes and sitting down, and I didn't even hear.
3 hours later.
you didn't hear the fireworks.
I didn't. I got up next morning at 5 a.m. I didn't hear the fireworks.
They were good.
Yeah, they were very good this year.
I tell you, I mean, hats off to everyone that participated. Our group is it's not getting any younger, and I appreciate Stanford showing up because we definitely need some help. And we don't have Pete with us anymore. We didn't have Chappie. That street.
Christy Way didn't
Christy
show up.
Way.
Yeah, Christy Way didn't show up, and it didn't show. And we didn't have distance, and that.
To my point of, it was a pleasure to do it, was we need help next year. So please, if you want to help, reach out to me. I'll get you on the list.
I'm not getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Kelly?
So, I did want to do a shout out to the chamber back on the hog roast. We served, by the numbers, 600 dinners. We raised over $12,000. So I deem it as a very successful event.
For sure.
So, when I make these statements, if I'm wrong, please correct me. There was a comment made that someone was disappointed that we didn't have a public hearing about the sanitation. In my opinion, council didn't provide any direction for our town manager to make any changes. And, we had the opportunity to do that, and I felt like the meeting was unnecessary. We had a budget workshop, that started in January, and we had plenty of time to discuss, anything and everything with the budget. And, if I was wrong, I apologize, but I thought that I made a good decision, because again, there wasn't any changes that were made. And we had, 3 public hearings on this?
With very poor public attendance.
Yeah, with poor public attendance. So, again, I thought it was unnecessary. know, in my opinion, I think they would try to make a change in fourth quarter, 20 seconds left. And it's just not the time to make adjustments. I think that, you know, and if that's the case and we want to make changes towards the end, then I think maybe we as council need to do, I'm not saying we need to do a better job, but we need to make sure that we get people to come to our council meeting, have some input, and not do it the day of 20 seconds left of fourth quarter.
It's Monday morning quarterbacking to me.
Well, the other thing too is that they keep saying the recycling center's closing, and that's a falsehood. We're not closing the recycling center. And we're still accepting white goods and all the other, recycling that they do, and that the town is still gonna manage that. So we're just trying to, hopefully we can steer people away from the misconception, no, you're shutting everything down.
And I hope I'm not stirring the hornet's nest when I say this, but I'm openly receptive that 2 days a week, back up, twice a month. It may work, but, it's not set in stone. And one of the ladies that spoke in public comment that said she didn't think 2 days a month was enough. It may not be. And I think that if we recognize that it's not, then, we make an adjustment to open it a little bit more. It's not a closed door situation. I mean, we're council and we can give our town back, maybe hard burden for him because he's got to find someone to, but, if we need to make an adjustment, that's what we're instilled to do, is to make decisions for the town. And if I'd rather start out with less, and if we need to add more, then that's what we do.
A lot easier to go that way than the other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If we start out with more, then we have to back up, as Art said, it's harder to do, or more challenging to do. Thank you for approving the commercial block grant, the community block grant. That will hopefully allow us another avenue to generate some revenue for our projects. And I am going to reach out to Rick Green, our North Carolina House of Representative. He called me 3 weeks ago, and I told him specifically what we found was the dollar amount. And I informed him the dollar amount we needed, and something happened. I don't know what happened, and I need to get some details from Chief Budney so that I can have, he knows the nuts and the bolts. And I don't think we received the funding that was committed to Beach Mountain. And this is my gut feel. I think that.
You're referring to the budget that got passed?
Yes, sir. And I think Rick Green did what he said he was going to do, but somewhere along the lines there was a missing link, and I don't think that we received the funding that was committed to Beach Mountain. Do you guys have any additional questions? Anyone have any questions?
Well, I'd just like to state that I think Chief I know he works tirelessly, and not just 5 days a week, and with all this going on with FEMA and trying to keep our town, just to recognize him and the employees. And,
You can hear the frustration in your voice today.
And why too.
Sorry.
No, totally understand.
I want to be a glass half full guy.
Yeah.
It's a team effort, and I'm not used to, I guess, government. I'm not used to things drawing out. Having a small business, we make decisions, and it doesn't take months and months.
Years.
And yes, in this situation, I've never dealt with anything like this in my career, and it's frustrating. And if you guys that know Chief Budney, it's got to be very frustrating for him as well. But we can't give up.
No, can't accept no.
We can't give up.
That's my new, it was, we don't know what we don't know, and now we got, you can't accept no. I got him.
All right, nothing further said.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.